You are listening to the ReRACEables Podcast.
Give you a nice little detour.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the ReRACEables Podcast. We are here. It is finale night. It is finale night. It is finale night. We are all here. Josh is here. Nicole is here. I'm your host, Tom. We have season 36, episode 10, aka the finale. Welcome in, everyone. It's finale night.
Thank you.
How's it going?
You're shouting.
I'm excited. The finish line has been crossed. We have a new, yet old, but new champion to join the winner's circle, the winner's fraternity, the winner's club, whatever you want to call it. Ricky and Cesar, Team Teal, Hawaiian shirts, whatever color they were. Ricky and Cesar, dominant from beginning to middle to end. Let's start there. Thoughts on Ricky and Cesar being the champions of season 36?
It's undeniable. They deserve it more than any other team here. It's almost as if the Amazing Race producers interviewed them and did a deep dive into their entire lives and specifically tailored the race to exactly, to a T, suit their life history and all of their life experiences. It is bizarre how time after time after time again, the most obscure of things, such as welding, or
Right, Cesar had welded in high school at some point.
right, like the most bizarre tasks
Musical theater.
they happen to have experience doing. The cooking.
Right,
The-
Cesar's a chef, literally on reality TV before,
Yeah.
when they were way back in the beginning of the race.
It was almost every challenge that they could pull from a life experience, which is bizarre. And so speaking Spanish was a big advantage.
Bigger than ever this season.
Bigger than ever this season, being that it was 95% done in South America.
And
So-
the other
Country
5%,
speaking Spanish.
the other 5% in Philadelphia, he grew up down the street.
correct. Correct.
Right, Ricky grew up, he told us on air, in Southwest Philadelphia.
Right. So it's
Unbelievable.
those moments that make me feel like, did they do this on purpose? How could this not have been
So does that take away from them winning?
a little bit? I mean, okay, they were a very strong team. They deserve to win. I said that from the beginning. They deserve it. Okay. However, if they ran the race that the season that was after, but technically,
Yeah, season 35, John and Greg's winning season.
if they had been put in that season, would they have won? I don't think so. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
The Slumdog Millionaires that they are now winners here, is
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Josh, your thoughts? Season 36 champs, Ricky and Cesar.
I agree. It's undeniable. They dominated this season. They dominated this race. They dominated even the second part of this episode. I think just like you're saying, if you put them in another season, how would they do? How would they hold up in a more physical season? However, what I have to respond to is that, one, they weren't in another season, and two, we've never seen another team in any other season dominate like they did. Ever. This Ricky and Cesar has to be the most dominant team in Amazing Race history up until the second to last leg, when they almost got eliminated by a mere canoe stroke. But other than that, they came back, and I think that they deserve all of it. And
Ricky and Cesar are the 96 Bulls. They steamrolled the entire season from beginning to middle to end. Second, first, second, first, third winners. I mean, that if that's a golf score, that's 20 under par. It's absurd. It's undeniable. They are, without question, deserving of this championship. I think also that they'll be great ambassadors of the show. Watch parties and the hosting of events. And coming away from this season, I'm really glad that they're the winners. I think they will embody everything what the Amazing Race has becoming, and like trying to make it this real community of people. Like I just see them being that versus Amber and Vinny, who are anesthetists.
Nurse anesthetists.
All right. It just feels right on top of them kicking the crap out of everyone all season long. And I got to be honest, I'm really glad that they lost the game, if I'm keeping the basketball analogy going, by Ricky actually struggling because he had never been on a surfboard or a windsurfboard. And it almost lost them the race.
It was nice to see that they are human.
Right. It was their Drago in Rocky 4 moment where he gets cut and Rocky proves that they're human. Right? You saw the stress in Ricky's face. You saw, holy crap, I almost just lost us the Amazing Race and $1 million in the title here. To have the home field advantage going into the final leg was just unbelievable. And you literally saw it when they were walking on the runway. And he says, we're going to the city of brotherly love. I actually was watching Ricky in that moment. And he did like the most thunderous, yeah, like Tiger Woods nailing a birdie putt at the Masters. Like he knew, holy shit, we just won $1 million because I know Philadelphia. I'm from there. Little did the rest of them know that was coming.
Like, I feel like Amazing Race, you should have to disclose all of the cities that you've lived in. And like, they should at least, it's one thing for that to be like one of the legs, but for it to be the final leg, that's not really fair for it to be one of the contestants' hometowns.
I would hope that the people who are creating the race are not in cahoots with the people who are running the race. I bet that they chose all of these cities and they knew that they were going to be in Philadelphia long before anyone was chosen to be running the race. Could be. I don't think it should affect it.
It's tough when it's that final leg. And we'll get to Juan and Shane later, but like they didn't even know that Pat's and Gino's was cheesesteaks. Like, come on, guys. But
wait, but can I say something too? Like, well, one, I have a qualm that they all started at the same time. It was like right after Ricky and Cesar almost got eliminated, they're now back at the same spot that they all started at. It was like, okay, well, the last leg actually didn't matter as long as you don't get eliminated. But the second thing is like, being from Philadelphia, they should have gotten to Lincoln Financial Field first, but who did? Rod and Leticia got there first. Or being from Philadelphia, does that mean that you can run a mascot race better? No. So as much as we're saying that it has a huge influence, I don't know how much of an influence it actually does have.
I disagree. Look at Juan and Shane. They accidentally drove to New Jersey.
Being somebody not from Philly, I've done that. I've made that mistake. I've had to go over the Ben Franklin Bridge.
Yeah. If you're from Philadelphia, you're not making that mistake.
Right. And oh, by the way, you know that Pat's and Gino's is literally landmarks of the city. How the hell did they not know that?
Unless you're the random guy that works at that stadium.
Right. That guy should be fired immediately for so many reasons. Not an expert.
No. Well, he wasn't hired as an expert.
Oh
he
my
was just
God,
working at the stadium. They just asked the wrong guy.
Oh my God. Pat's Pizza? What's the chances?
What a moron.
Oh my God.
But I mean, I agree that should be that would help if you were from Philadelphia. But I think these are all one and chain issues. Like there's clearly exits that say last exit until New Jersey, or you're entering New Jersey, or we all knew that. We all knew about the Ben Franklin Bridge. We all knew about the Pats and Ginos. Like I don't think that's necessarily a fault of them not being from Philadelphia. I
But
think
we're also New Yorkers, and New Yorkers are not so far from Philadelphia.
Right. So are you going to say that we can't be in Philadelphia for the race because we're New Yorkers and we've been there? It's like,
No.
or, oh, I went to school in Boston, so now I can't go to Boston. Oh, I worked in LA. Oh, I did this here. Well, it's like
It's
you
hard.
can't really control the race through and then look at 13 teams and then multiply that by 2 people, 26 people. You're going through their whole backgrounds of every city that they've ever lived in or been a part. It's like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
And frankly, the people who are world travelers have been to many cities, and Philadelphia is a terrible but big city.
Well, I think Ricky and Cesar would disagree with you. They are going to
They
be,
love Philadelphia.
oh, they love it. They are going to be running up those stairs like Rocky for the rest of their life and going to Independence Hall and looking at that Liberty Bell a whole different way.
Eating all the cheese whiz.
Oh, yeah.
But congrats to them. The most impressive domination we've ever seen. And totally deserving winners. Typically at the end of the race, there is some cumulative challenge that tests intelligence, how much paying attention to detail you've been doing. There was no final challenge.
None.
The final challenge, I guess, was a route info in which they had to go to Arch Street Meeting House and solve a really awesome, really cool 3-dimensional Liberty Bell puzzle, which I loved. So cool. Love the size of it.
But that would have been a great challenge mid-race. Not for the final challenge. Come on. What are they thinking?
That's the bow in the season. That's when you get to see and look back and say, oh, wow, remember that? Or it actually shows that you've been working towards something. It did. It just felt like another leg in the race with no exciting ending.
Makes me think of any professional sport playoffs. Like if the 2 best teams are in the same conference and they play in the second round of the playoffs instead of the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl is really the second round game. And then the Super Bowl is like, that's kind of what it feels like when there's just this awesome, it's a nice Liberty Bell puzzle challenge. It wasn't a showstopper. It wasn't something that could have been really challenging to the point of somebody failing and another team coming and catching up and making up time and really relying on the amount of things you did over the course of the entire race, which I think we're all in on enjoying that is what a final challenge should be. It should look like the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
But like you said, Josh, I think that just speaks to this season.
Yeah, I mean, we've noted many episodes that we've been frustrated, and I think a lot of it has to do that this was a replay of a COVID season that probably should have been aired a while ago, and how we felt kind of stagnant, especially after seeing such an exciting, pretty decent season last year. And now coming back to this, it feels like a regression, especially because of the things that we talked about that they learned between seasons, and now we're seeing them all start in legs, or we're not seeing things in the airport, or these kind of less exciting doing. And I guess this kind of goes to structure, but seeing the whole episode take place in one day is kind of exhausting, because you don't have these in-depth challenges. The challenges are designed so that you can still do a detour and a roadblock in the same day, without having to travel too far. And I think that that's been part of a letdown, and that ultimately a finale like this kind of seems to be on par with the rest of it.
And for people like us that are obviously fans of the show, but also really wanting the show to be super awesome, over the top, constantly evolving, outdoing itself.
And that's how I feel about Survivor. Like Survivor, they are constantly looking at the show, revising, thinking, how can we do it even better? How can we make next season even better? And they do. In each season, it just seems to evolve into this like amazing production.
Yep.
And I did not feel that way at all about Amazing Race this season.
And that doesn't put a damper on Ricky and Cesar's accomplishment. It does make this season feel different and kind of a lackluster, or it does take away from just the overall experience. And I think Josh hit it on the head with the word regression.
Mm-hmm.
Are you glad that they aired this season, like not just released on Paramount Plus?
I think it should have been a Paramount Plus exclusive. I don't think it was worthy of a primetime regular Amazing Race season.
It's hard to say because you enjoy the show, but when you go into it as much as we do, I think my biggest fear would have been that if you start releasing it that way, could that be it? I don't know.
Well, I was reading articles that actually the Amazing Race as a series became incredibly popular during COVID, and there was no seasons being released. It was actually people binging it and watching it full seasons at a time. So I'd be interested in what it is like to release a whole season of a contemporary time, and see how people relate to it or want to see it. But I think overall, the truth is they need to, the excitement behind the Amazing Race is the adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we lost that adventure this season.
As much as you love Barbados, Dominican Republic, Argentina, and all the places we did go, there was kind of a sameness to it, or maybe not a sameness. There was, like you're saying, Josh, there was something missing.
There's no leg where they're going to India.
Right, it always comes back. Shout out India.
Shout out India.
Shout out India.
To me, that's always like the pinnacle of.
It's the measuring stick.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to see Ricky and Cesar battle it out.
Show me them in India and let's see how well they do. You can't tell me, oh, yeah, I studied abroad in India.
Right.
No, that's not happening.
Right.
They can't talk Spanish to the Indian people.
Right.
It's not happening.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. That was the piece that was missing.
India,
but
no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, we watched The Amazing Race. It's not the Western Hemisphere race. It's the worldwide Amazing Race. And we get why, but definitely wasn't a void there. Speaking of voids, 3 other teams have a void of $1 million in their bank accounts.
Wow. What a transition.
Thank you. This is why they pay me the big bucks. Shout out Expedia.
Not sponsored.
Let's go to a segment you've seen and loved. Why did blank lose? Let's start with our second place team, Juan and Shane. They come in second place. That they got derailed by a Lincoln Financial Field employee. When they asked about Pat's, the guy thought it was pizza. And they drove from Philadelphia, from Lincoln Financial Field to New Jersey to Pat's Pizza Place because somehow they messed that up. And the guy who works in Philadelphia didn't know that Pat's would, of course, mean the world famous Pat's Steaks.
Embarrassing.
Thoughts on Juan and Shane? Thoughts on them finishing second? Thoughts on the way they went out?
I loved Juan and Shane. I would have loved to see them win it. It's just at the end of the day, you can't make sloppy mistakes like that. Come on, Juan and Shane. That's the kind of thing that's going to cost you $1 million.
It's like a cheesesteak with too much whiz.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they played a really great game. They fought hard. They were the physical competitors. It took some time to learn about themselves, and when they did, I think we've talked about that they kind of bought into that physical challenge. But I guess, yeah, it was this sense of travel that they got derailed. But they still came in second, and it didn't seem by that far behind. So, I mean, if that little mishap didn't happen, perhaps they could have won. So it's hard to say that they maybe like aren't a strong team or they deserve to win, but that's what happened this race.
Yeah, they lost because Ricky and Cesar are all-time good. They lost because despite being a great team, a strong team, there was somebody better. You know, in the 90s, Michael Jordan was just better. And Charles Barkley never won the NBA championship. He just didn't. Patrick Ewing just didn't win the championship because there was somebody that was better than them in their prime every single time. And I think that's the card that Juan and Shane drew here, is that on average, if you ran that final leg 20, 50, 100 times, they're probably not beating Ricky and Cesar. And it's proven because over the course of 10 legs, they won 7 of them. And Juan and Shane only won first place once. But despite saying all that, I still think that they were a first place team. They had said it a while back, a couple episodes back. I still believe that. That's why I put them second, and I got that right. But I felt like they had a real contender chance to win. I think if you run the race overall 1,000 times, they're going to win it a bunch of times.
Yep.
Not as many as Ricky and Cesar, but they're going to win it. They had everything it took to win it. And I was definitely rooting for them hard because I enjoyed their relationship. I liked having the dynamic of like two boys from the military who went through the adversity and mucked together and who weren't emotional and knew how to talk to each other and were just having a good time with it. And we were having a good time with them.
Yes, they had a great spirit about them.
And that's why they were great. That's why they deserved to cross the finish line. That's why they deserved a solid, respectable, but why the hell did you go to Jersey to Pat's Pizza, not Pat's Geno's? Come on. Oh, guys.
What was the funny moment in the finale episode?
He was like, I just want to say I'm sorry for snapping at you. And whatever I said, I didn't really mean it or something like that. It's just a race. I shouldn't have done it. And then the other guy doesn't say anything. And he goes, yeah, that's what you're supposed to say. I'm sorry too.
Yeah, well, there was that, but I feel like there was another moment.
No, it was the root info reciting the declaration.
Yes.
And of course they should.
Yes. So the one, I forget if it was Juan or Shane, just like nails it
Juan.
First try
Juan.
without a stammer.
Sure.
And
Shane
looks at him like, really?
Bro, really?
Yeah.
And then busts out laughing, and so do we, because it's just clearly I think as viewers we understood them. We understood their dynamic, and we were laughing along with them. We were let's go! Like when they were these guys when they complete, like, yo, I got it. Like they were so
High energy, high excitement, high passion.
yeah, like you were in the cockpit with them flying the planes. Like that's how you felt. And that really showed through. Love Juan and Shane, but we know why they lost. Just couldn't get over the bigger, better team and a little bit of sloppiness. Shall we move to our third place team? That's us, baby. Third place. Yeah, my baby over here. She looks so good. She getting in third place, and we be getting that, even though I didn't have the roadblocks.
All right.
Rod and Leticia, our third place team. Josh, start us off. Why did they lose?
Well, I think they lost because they just didn't have all of it. They are show people. Rod's an athlete. Leticia is probably the weaker aspect of the team, but I think they were fun to watch and they had really good chemistry together, but just weren't the strongest.
And we really see them unravel when Rod does not excel at something immediately. In that memorization challenge,
Reciting the declaration, he had a really hard time. And you could see that, like, that perfectionist mentality where if he's not getting it perfectly first shot or second shot, he is crumbling. I can't do this, baby. I
Yeah.
can't do this.
And
it wasn't like he threw a temper tantrum. It was just-
no.
you saw it was a weakness.
Yeah.
And he was still going to use his competitive greatness. And we going to do this. My baby's going to help me do this.
Yeah.
And they did. But you could see there was a wind. The spirit that was Rod for 9 3/4 episodes, the wind in that sail was gone.
Dead.
It was dead.
Yeah.
There was some, like, he knew he was going to lose.
Yeah.
And I bet you when he was drafted and he was playing receiver and he was in the NFL and his team was down 21 points with 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter and he knew he was going to lose, he probably looked and acted exactly the way he did.
Yeah.
He knew there was a better day. He knew he was going to
Except
keep
probably
doing his
worse.
thing, but probably
Because
worse.
it wasn't being filmed on national television.
And he didn't have his baby.
Yeah.
He didn't have Leticia, but
I do have to say I was impressed by them. I was not expecting them to get nearly as far as they did. They were a very capable team, especially Leticia impressed me. I thought she was just there for the Instagram follows, and that definitely was not the case. So my apologies for judging you, Leticia.
yeah, definitely one of the bigger misreads, even though we had absolutely nothing to go off of, which is another flaw in season 36
Yes, that's fair.
from the very beginning.
We should have known from the very beginning.
Yeah. I felt like we understood that marriage. I feel like we understood whether it was Rod's charisma oozing out of the television, his personality, his need for sensory seeking, needing to run up to his wife and hug her after she wins road tennis in Barbados.
Kissing her neck as she's trying to bartend.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite part. It usurped the it took over for the when Rod was doing the bubble soccer and depleted the guy. It was so much better.
She didn't just swat him away and tell
Shout out Rod, he's a
Get the
lover.
me right now. I don't know how.
Oh, it's so good. Come on, baby. You look so good. You do. I'm sorry. I love impersonating Rod. But even in that challenge, what happened? Leticia is the bartender. Rod immediately becomes the charismatic server of the drinks to the pirates.
Yes.
Yo-ho-hoing up with them. Just run out. What can I get you all to drink? Like, he's just in his element. We totally understand that. It was like the one-man band switch they did.
Yes.
Well, you got me thinking about why there are pirates in a place called Diversity Bar. Just had no idea about that.
Yeah, that was odd.
Do pirates just hang out there? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt a little planted.
Felt a lot planted.
Yeah. And the dramatic drunk act.
Yeah. In summary, Rod and Leticia lost because
Race knowledge or like intellect. I don't know how to. I just think that they made a lot of not smart decisions. They
were
got lost
impulsive.
a lot. They were impulsive. They didn't really think. And I don't think that's necessarily to say that they're dumb, but I think that they just didn't have brains that were they were complete opposite of Ricky and Cesar. Ricky and Cesar did everything exactly how they needed to for a team that probably wasn't the most fit. And I think if Rod and Leticia were able to make those smart decisions, they were really fit and they could have won.
To build off of that, my guess is that Ricky and Cesar, they even posted this, but their notebook of everything with diagrams and drawings and details and labels and everything that happened in each leg was meticulously detailed. They would have won a cumulative challenge. No question in my mind.
Yeah.
I don't think Rod and Leticia had that same notebook.
No.
And I think that's what you're talking about.
Correct.
Moving on to the penultimate leg where we lost our fourth place team, Amber and Vinny. And oh gosh, where to start with them?
I think the obvious, the most awkward proposal I've ever seen on national television. It was horrible.
Well, but wasn't it so them? Again, the common thing of these final four teams, the fact that Amber reacts, she's totally overwhelmed with emotion. They just lost by like 100 feet in paddling to get to Phil, and they almost knock out Ricky and Cesar, and then he gets down on the knee and she reacts, and then she goes in and hugs him, and he literally has to be like, "You didn't answer my question." It was the most Amber and Vinny way.
It's just like the entire race, they were the most dysfunctional team.
Totally.
And they're the ones that get engaged. And it's like his spiel, I'll call it. Like he says, like, oh, this race solidified things for me. It shouldn't have. It should have been all red flags.
No.
I don't know. It just I think solidified was the wrong word.
I mean, the way that I got the cut was that he actually maybe isn't the best person. And so she should have probably said no to him. But I was reading a US Weekly article that just came out on them. And this just in, folks. And Vinny actually complained about the cut. He said that they edited him in a way that they were fighting all the time and that they were a bit angry to each other. But in real life, they actually were very copacetic and like good to each other. And they said that they watched the race together and they were both able to learn from maybe their flaws that were accentuated on TV. But they actually said that it made them grow closer watching the season together. And they are getting married in Cabo in November, and the entire season 36 cast will be in attendance.
Wow.
How fitting a South.
I wonder if Chris and Mary will be there too.
Cabo is in Mexico, which is in a North American country.
A Spanish speaking country.
Do we think Maya and Rohan are going to be at this wedding?
They better be.
Definitely with a bow tie on. But they'll only be there for like a cup of coffee. Then they'll be escorted out like they were in the race. No.
Ouch.
Although they probably won't want to go back to Mexico because that's where they got ousted anyway. But shout out Maya and Rohan. All right, Josh, it's come to that time. Now we're into the finale and we're talking about just kind of the components of the final leg. And they're starting and doing it in the city of brotherly love. Philadelphia. From the steps of Rocky to the favorite cheesesteak places to the link the Eagles play to Philadelphia's major mascots. Your just general reactions to having to spend the final leg in all of Philadelphia's modern and historical glory.
Hard to watch. Hard to watch. It's a city that like, well, one, there's not much going on as it is, but two, we didn't even see the city. Like, yes, it was cool to go to Pat and Gino's, but like eat a cheesesteak while you're there, or like
Yes.
put on the hat and have to make orders for people ordering those cheesesteaks. Because if you know anything, if you've ever ordered from there, they yell at you and they make you go quickly. And if you take a second to think about what you need, next, moving right on. And there's something about that that feels very East Coast, that feels even very Philadelphia by how rude they are. But like, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But that's what I was talking about with that sense of adventure and understanding the city and having it actually relate and not just have to go to the Rocky Steps and get a clue, or even start there. They didn't even really
Right.
run.
Why didn't they have to run up?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Where was Sly? Hire Stallone. Get him over there.
Totally. Or do like a challenge where you have to like go where Paul Revere like went, or no, I guess that was Boston, but or do another challenge that is maybe more encapsulating the city. There's a really cool German area in Philadelphia. There.
How about like getting a constitution or getting the Declaration and a scavenger hunt throughout the city to get all the people to sign it. And like you need that to be the thing that you hand in to get access to the final challenge or something. Like play into the whole like the founders signed this document in all these specific buildings. And you're right, Josh. I love what you said there. Like eat the Philly cheesesteak or serve it or something. Don't just show up there and there's a clue box and then rip open the next thing and then drive away. Like, and maybe it wasn't open. Maybe it was
No, but you could do something about like Ben Franklin, like doing the electricity, right? Where you have to like run cables throughout the city, or Alexander Graham Bell doing something, or, or like just having to be in like Independence Mall. We just didn't get to see any of that. And it was, I mean, yes, you built a Liberty Bell, but that Liberty Bell could have been built on a soundstage, And so that's the connection that I wish.
I agree with all of that. However, I really enjoyed the mascot challenge.
it was good.
I was so entertained. I thought it was great.
And oh, by the way, and at the top of the pod when you said they were uniquely qualified for that. How about Mickey as his mascot? Like, come on!
Like we looked at each other. Of course he was.
Wild.
I mean, the only thing he didn't do was get on the phone. Can I borrow your phone? And then call his parents and be like, hey, I don't really need your help. Like, I'm the John Carpenter from Millionaire who's telling his dad on his phone a friend that he's going to win the $1 million. Ha, 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 ha. Hang up.
Yeah.
Or I'm about to win Amazing Race. Hang up.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. He was a mascot. I don't care if he was in high school. The fact that he felt comfortable to just put on a damn mascot because he was been a mascot is so absurd.
Wearing the big head.
Josh, we didn't even have a mascot in high school. Like, what the hell? Like, this is.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. But I loved seeing everybody in like the big. First of all, I liked the Amazing Race mascot. I think they did a great job on that. The big Earth head.
That was good.
I liked
with the fanny pack.
With the fanny pack, yep.
With the names of the people on it.
Yep. And just the whole like navigating the floor ladders or whatever it was, jumping through
the trampoline,
through
the sign.
Yeah. And then the teacher
or just
cannons.
Falling through.
It was hilarious. I just thought it was a fun challenge.
I do think we were robbed of seeing Rod do that because Spidey sense tells me Rod would have been even more absurd and ridiculous. Like, imagine him hitting that trampoline. He would have jumped.
He would have been flying.
But Leticia was great. She just fell through the sign.
Yeah, that's great.
Rod was cracking up laughing. So was everybody watching. So we went from kind of the first part, which was the fun modern stadium, to the historical side, and I just want to go to the one root info. Phil comes out and does his like intro, and it was reciting the preamble. And they had to drive to Independence Hall to recite the preamble. And in that moment, Nicole and I start breaking out Schoolhouse Rock. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic. Yeah, we were going all out.
Provide for the common defense.
Only to find out they messed up. It wasn't the preamble.
But shame on the editors and the producers. Like, what are we doing here? We botched up the documents that we're talking about that they had to recite. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? The preamble versus the declaration? Like, what are we doing?
Pitiful.
How the hell did that slip by? Did you catch that, Josh?
I actually didn't.
Oh,
I know. But you're totally right. Now it makes total sense.
We were actually saying, like, how many of them do you think are going to sing the Schoolhouse Rock version? And like, we were debating, are they going to even be allowed to air that? And like, these are the conversations we were having during the episode. And then we were so pissed when we saw, wait a minute, that's not the preamble. What are they going to memorize? Oh, like, we were just so confused.
and I'm glad it wasn't the preamble in a sense, because it was much harder what they had to do.
Yes.
But again, this was one of the other examples of some adversity in this phase of the finale leg, was that Cesar had to
Oh
show
yeah.
us what he's got. He had to dig deep. He's from Mexico. So there's a gap in just background knowledge of things like that. There's a language barrier. English is not his first language. And despite that, he rocks out in the memorization of the Declaration paragraphs challenge. Well, they had in the roadblock, they had to assemble the first flag by getting hints in the different rooms at the Betsy Ross house. And he crushed it.
Mhm.
Like just cherry on top, to just they're deserving of the win.
A+ listening comprehension.
Without a doubt.
I didn't love the flag, but
You didn't.
I just, it was boring to watch. It was boring to watch because you're kind of watching the 1 second of a full snippet of the people, the reenactors, and without knowing where we weren't doing the mental work. There was nothing stimulating that you're watching it. It
Good
just
point.
felt passive for a puzzle challenge with no like vision of where they have to get to.
And what the clues were from each person to put the whole puzzle together.
Yes.
I agree. You're right. But can I say this? I thought it was really cool that it was turning the American flag into a puzzle, first of all, but also a puzzle that was all zippers
And snaps.
of 5-point stars, Leticia. 5-pointed stars, not 5 stars. I mean, how did she do that? Come on.
It was hard to watch.
Come on, baby. I mean, you don't know. I know you don't know Betsy Ross, but come on. There was 13 snaps on there, baby. How'd you not know to go do 13? I mean, come on. How do you leave the 5 stars? There's literally 8 more snaps right in
And
the
how
circle.
do you not notice the difference between 5-pointed stars and 6-pointed stars?
It was a tough look for her. Betsy Ross was not happy.
Rolling in her grave.
And I will say this, one last note on that challenge, and really the whole historical thing. I thought it was really important and cool that Juan and Shane were there to be part of that, to be part of putting the flag together, and Juan acknowledged that. Not just that he's a puzzle guy and it like was up his alley, but like, he talked about like the honor and privilege to put the flag together.
Mm.
And that was a nice moment too. And especially when he got it and he like passed Leticia, I got it, like screaming. I was really happy that turned them from a really potentially terrible ending of them coming in third to actually boom, slingshotting to getting second and having that moment of, patriotism and pride. That was cool.
Yeah.
With that all being said, we go to our final power rankings. Josh is the winner. He had Juan and Shane third, Rod and Leticia fifth. He had Ricky and Cesar eighth. And with a low score of 16, Josh is our power ranking top 3 champion.
And we tied.
And Nicole and I finished tied for last with a score of 21. Congratulations to Josh on that, winner of the final 3.
Thank you. One thing I will say though is that I still don't think I quite won, right? Because if you add up 3 + 2 + 1, you get 6. So this is out of a possible 6. I think we all kind of missed the mark by a significant amount, which is pretty sad because we all pretty much felt the same about the first few teams out. And then it got sloppy, and we just didn't have the right top of the order.
Your boy Tom had Ricky and Cesar at the 7 spot, 1 ahead of Josh. So I am the winner of the lowest first place ranking, but that's not much to say because we all blew it on Ricky and Cesar. Congrats to Josh. We owe you a dinner.
Where are we going? Pat's for cheesesteaks in Philadelphia?
Maybe Pat's Pizza in New Jersey.
Well, Juan and Shane, if you're listening, we'll meet you at Pat's in New Jersey. Maybe Portnoy will be there and we can do a pizza review of it and just say how it's a 0.0 because it cost you $1 million. But
it's a good one. It's a good one, Tom.
But shout out Juan and Shane. Hope to have you on the podcast.
Just pour him a new one.
They're laughing. They'll be laughing.
Take it.
Yeah. Before we go, let's throw out some season 36 final thoughts and awards. The MVP of season 36 is?
I think it's tied for Ricky and Cesar.
Co-MVPs.
Co-MVPs, because they each dominated equally.
I'll give it to Cesar because it was his dream that got them on the show. I'll give it to Cesar because he was the navigator with the maps in the back of the car.
I give it to Danny. I think Angie is nowhere without Danny, and they got as far as they did solely because of him. And no other person was more important to their teammate than Danny was to Angie.
Mr. or Ms. Congeniality.
Rod, baby. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. He takes the cake easily.
Oh, you know I was going to do that, baby. You knew I was going to be entertaining as all hell. You know I was going to be behind you, kissing that neck when you were making them drinks over there in Dominican Republic. I love Rod. And he made the season. I mean, without him, I don't even want to think about the season.
Is Rod invited on the pod?
It would be my honor and privilege to have Rod and Leticia on.
He was the most exciting to watch. He was the most likable. He was the most charismatic. Really just someone that I also think something that got me was how we talked about them previously, where we talked about our assumptions of them. They're celebrities. They don't need the money. They're gonna not want to get dirty. They're not gonna, and they changed every assumption that we had. And I really appreciated that.
Totally. Biggest disappointment. I'll start us off. Stunny and Busy.
I knew you were
It was my firefighter girls. I had them number 1, and that's part of the reason. But navigational skills were subpar at best. And I made the joke. I hope they're not driving the fire truck to the site of the fire because they'd have got lost. I mean, the Rebus puzzle, the 30-something failed attempts. Come on, ladies. Come on. Josh, biggest disappointment.
not crossing the water. I want to see Europe. I want to see Asia. I want to see. Biggest disappointment is that we were just stuck there the whole season.
I'm glad you said that.
I have to agree.
Well said.
That was the biggest disappointment by far.
Favorite moment?
I think my favorite moment was Angie laying flat on the floor while her son paints her face. I think it's just so indicative of this season. It's just pathetic. Josh?
Kind of enjoyed watching Rod just compete in every challenge. He was exciting to just see his pure athleticism, whether that was in that giant sphere trucking someone or pedaling a bike faster than I've ever seen anyone do it. He was very exciting to watch.
All right. Well, with that, thank you, Josh. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for another great season on the ReRACEables podcast. I appreciate you guys and I love you guys, and I'm so happy we can do this. Thank you to everyone out there for watching and listening and following along with us all season long. We hope you enjoyed the season and covering it and having as much fun with it as we did. So thank you for your support. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. TribalCouncilBlog.com for all the content on season 36 and prior seasons. Check that out. Going to be wrapping up Survivor 46 next week with the finale. So check that out. And we'll be back possibly this summer with more ReRACEables podcast on a throwback season that we've kind of had in the hopper for far too long, which we need to get on, folks. But until then, we'll see you for season 37 right here on the ReRACEables podcast.